The movie starts with a young woman named Noah. She lives alone with no one by her side. Her father passed away long ago, and she has never met her mother. Feeling lonely, Noah really wants to have a boyfriend, so she tries using a dating app to find someone special. After scrolling through many profiles, she decides to go on a date with a guy named Chad. They meet for dinner at a restaurant. But during the meal, Noah realizes she doesn't feel any connection with him. Chad seems rude and has no manners. After the date, Noah tells him directly that she isn't interested. Chad gets annoyed and leaves angrily. Later, Noah tells her best friend Molly about the bad date. The two have been best friends for 7 years, and Noah thinks of Molly as family since she's the only one who truly cares about her. One day, while Noah is shopping alone, she meets a handsome man named Steve. He starts a friendly conversation and asks for her phone number. Noah doesn't hesitate to give it to him. Afterwards, she tells Molly about Steve, saying that she likes him because he's charming and attractive. She's also tired of dating apps and hopes something real will develop with Steve. Not long after, Steve texts Noah and invites her to meet at a bar. Excited, she goes home to get ready. That night, they meet and spend time talking. Noah feels an instant connection with him, something she hasn't felt before. After drinking too much, they decide to leave the bar. Noah invites Steve to her house, and they end up sleeping together. Feeling happy, she calls Molly to tell her about it. Molly is glad but still curious about Steve. Molly asks for Steve's social media, but Noah says he doesn't have any. Molly finds that strange since almost everyone has social media these days. But Noah doesn't mind and suggests that if Molly wants to know more, she can talk to Paul, the bartender who saw them at the bar. A few days later, Noah and Steve officially become a couple. They spend happy moments together. Steve casually asks Noah if she has told anyone about him. She says she only told Molly. Then Steve invites Noah to go on a short vacation together, and she quickly agrees. He tells her he'll pick her up the next day. That night, Noah packs her things and calls Molly to tell her about the trip. Molly isn't excited. She's actually worried because Noah doesn't know Steve very well yet. Still, she doesn't stop her, not wanting to ruin Noah's happiness. The next morning, Steve picks Noah up and they start driving to their vacation spot. During the trip, Noah texts Molly to let her know they're on their way. When she tries to say they're heading to a place called Cottage Grove, her phone suddenly loses signal, causing the message to reach Molly much later. After several hours of driving, Noah and Steve finally arrive at his house. As soon as they get there, Steve offers her a drink. But right after she drinks it, Noah suddenly feels dizzy and passes out. When she wakes up, she's shocked to find her hands chained and herself locked inside a basement. Steve is sitting in front of her, and it's then that his true nature is revealed. He's not the kind and charming man she thought he was. Steve is actually a cannibal who eats human flesh, especially women's. He also sells the flesh of the women he captures to a secret group of rich people who share his horrifying taste. This organization believes that women's flesh tastes better than men's. The meat is sold at a very high price, which has made Steve extremely rich. Noah soon realizes she's not his only victim. There are other women imprisoned in the same basement. Before kidnapping them, Steve carefully studies their backgrounds, pretending to be a nice man to gain their trust. Once they feel safe with him, he brings them to his house, where they're trapped. He usually targets young women who live alone, like Noah, so no one reports them missing when they disappear. Steve doesn't kill his victims right away. He keeps them alive and cuts off pieces of their flesh little by little to keep the meat fresh. Whenever the secret group requests more, he takes more from the women until they eventually die. Realizing this, Noah panics and screams for help. Steve warns her to stay calm or he'll kill her immediately. While crying in fear, Noah suddenly hears a woman's voice from the other side of the wall. The woman introduces herself as Penny, another victim who's been trapped there for a long time. There's also another woman named Melissa, but she has already lost her mind after being held captive for too long. Later, Steve brings Noah some food. She refuses to eat but asks if she can take a shower. Not wanting her to escape, Steve agrees but insists on watching her. When he takes her to the bathroom, Noah suddenly tries to run away. Sadly, her escape fails, and Steve quickly overpowers her. He knocks her unconscious. When Noah wakes up again, she finds herself lying on an operating table. Her body feels numb. Steve has sedated her. As punishment for trying to escape, he cuts into her buttocks and removes a piece of her flesh. Helpless and unable to move, Noah can only endure the pain. Afterwards, Steve brings her back to her locked room. In the following days, Noah keeps talking to Penny through the wall. The two women try to comfort each other even though they feel hopeless, knowing that no one will come to rescue them. Meanwhile, Molly becomes very worried about Noah since she hasn't replied to any of her messages or calls. Suddenly, Molly receives a text from Noah saying she's in a place called Cottage Grove and even sends a photo as proof. The message also says she'll turn off her phone to enjoy her vacation. But what Molly doesn't know is that Steve is the one texting her, pretending to be Noah. Even though Molly gets a message from Noah, she still feels uneasy. Something doesn't feel right, and as Noah's best friend, she can't just ignore it. Curious, Molly searches the photo that Noah sent and discovers it's from the internet, not a real picture taken by Noah. The place in the photo isn't even in Cottage Grove. That's when Molly realizes Noah might be in serious danger. She decides to find out who Steve really is, but she has little information since she doesn't know his full name. Molly remembers that Noah mentioned meeting Steve at a bar on their first date, so she goes there to talk to the bartender, Paul, who served them that night. She explains everything and asks for his help. Paul agrees to check Steve's credit card records from that day, and from there, they learn that Steve's real name is Brendan Steve Kemp. Molly quickly searches his name online and discovers something shocking. Steve is already married and has 2 children. On his wife's social media, Molly even finds their home address. Determined to find Noah, she decides to go there. Before entering the house, she sends her location to Paul in case something bad happens. When Molly arrives, she is greeted by Steve's wife. Molly explains that her friend Noah disappeared after going on a trip with Ann's husband, Steve. She also tells Ann that Steve was having an affair with Noah. But Ann coldly says she doesn't know who Noah is. Not long after, Steve arrives home and pretends not to know Molly. He introduces himself as Brendan, acting like nothing is wrong. Not believing his lies, Molly decides to call Noah's phone. When it rings, she's shocked to see that Steve has it in his pocket. Molly realizes immediately that Steve has kidnapped Noah. Before she can do anything, Ann suddenly appears from behind and hits her on the head, knocking her unconscious. Steve then takes the unconscious Molly to the basement where Noah and the other women are being held. There, it's revealed that Ann actually knows everything about her husband's dark secret. She helps him with his business of kidnapping women and selling their flesh. It also turns out that Ann was once one of his victims. One of her legs is missing because Steve cut it off. Somehow, despite everything, Ann fell in love with him, and the two ended up getting married. Back in the basement, after spending days locked up, Noah starts adapting to her situation while secretly planning how to escape. Even though Steve keeps them imprisoned, he doesn't hurt them as long as they stay calm and follow his rules. Over time, Steve visits Noah more often, and she begins to notice that he seems to have feelings for her. Seeing this as a chance, Noah comes up with a plan. She'll pretend to like him too, gain his trust, and escape when she gets the chance. Noah starts acting kind and friendly toward him. One day, she casually asks Steve what human flesh tastes like. Steve smiles and tells her it's incredibly delicious, unlike any other meat in the world. Later, he returns and asks if she's really curious about it. Noah lies and says she is. Hearing that, Steve invites her to try it herself. Although Noah is disgusted, she pretends to be brave and takes a bite to convince him. She forces herself to smile and act as if she enjoys it. The trick works. Steve is impressed and begins to trust her more. But once she's alone in her room again, Noah quickly vomits, unable to stand what she just did. A few days later, Steve returns, this time bringing an expensive dress and some makeup for her. He plans to have another dinner with Noah that night, but this time it will be more special, almost like a romantic date. Steve asks Noah to dress up beautifully for the evening, and he also prepares himself for the occasion. The dinner feels so important to him that he ignores Ann's messages. Once ready, Steve goes to Noah's room to pick her up and is stunned by how beautiful she looks. They sit down and begin their dinner together, once again eating human flesh. Noah is forced to act again, pretending to enjoy it so that Steve will trust her even more. Steve is delighted, convinced that Noah is different from the other women and starts to believe she could be the right partner for him. After finishing the appetizer, Steve takes Noah to see a collection of items that once belonged to his victims. Among them are belongings of Melissa and Penny. Suddenly, Noah's eyes are drawn to a phone case that looks very familiar. She immediately realizes it belongs to Molly and understands that her best friend must also be trapped somewhere in the house. Steve then invites Noah to eat human flesh again. For the main course, this time they eat meat from a woman's chest, which Steve admits is his favorite cut. Once again, Noah is forced to eat it while pretending to enjoy it. But because she is worried about Molly's condition, she accidentally starts crying. Noah quickly explains that she is crying because the meat tastes so good. Steve believes her words and becomes even more infatuated with her. Carried away by the moment, Steve and Noah kiss, and then Noah invites him to dance. Soon after, they move to the bedroom and prepare to have sex. However, just as they are about to do it, Noah suddenly bites Steve's penis so hard that it gets severed. Steve screams in pain. Seeing the chance to escape, Noah grabs Steve's set of keys along with his phone. She then rushes to the basement to free Molly and Penny. Of course, Steve tries to stop them, leading to a fight between him and the three women. After a tough struggle, they manage to knock him out temporarily. Noah, Molly, and Penny immediately leave the house and run as far away as they can. But before long, Steve regains consciousness and chases after them, this time carrying a gun. The three women hide in the forest, and when Steve lets his guard down, they attack him together, overpowering him. Noah takes his gun and shoots him in the head, killing him. Afterward, they search for a way to escape the area. Noah goes back to retrieve her phone, which she had dropped during the fight, while Molly stays behind to watch over Penny. While Noah is looking for her phone, and suddenly appears. She thanks Noah for killing Steve, which confuses Noah. But then and suddenly grabs Noah by the throat and starts choking her. And does this out of anger because Noah stole Steve's heart and killed him brutally. Even though Anne knows about Steve's crimes, she still chose to stay by his side because she loved him deeply. Luckily, Molly arrives just in time and kills Anne. Still shaken, Noah asks Molly who Anne is. Molly explains that Anne was Steve's wife and that they had 2 children together. Noah is stunned, realizing she had unknowingly been in an affair with a married man. After surviving the terrifying ordeal, Noah feels extremely grateful to Molly for coming to save her, even though it put Molly in danger as well. In the final scene, a message appears on Noah's phone. It's from Chad, the guy she went on a date with at the beginning of the story. This suggests that after everything, Noah might meet Chad again and restart their date, bringing the story to an end.